Hello, the lighting is terrible and I feel like my brain is going a mile a minute. I just filmed 2 videos. It's 2:22 a.m. so technically it's past midnight, so it is July 1st. And the reason that I am vlogging, I'm not vlogging, I'm just like speaking into the void in the middle of the night. It's fine. It's because our read along is starting. Well, it's technically already started. It's July 1st. It is past midnight. Me and Shannon are hosting a Vampire Academy read-along for the month of July, where we attempt to read books 1 to 6, all of the books in the iconic Vampire Academy series. You know me, you know I love a bit of teen nostalgia, just vibes, so I'm very excited for this. A little bit nervous because in my recent wrap-ups I've only been averaging about 3 or 4 books a month, and obviously this is going to be 6 books. I think I can do it because I've read them before and they are just quite fun, fast reads, but we'll see. We're off to a bit of a stressful start as always with all of my reading vlogs, because like I said, I've just filmed 2 videos. I should upload and maybe edit one, don't know if that's gonna happen. But it's also 2:24 a.m. and I have to be at Waterloo Station at 8:50 a.m. because my wonderful partner Kirian has a job interview in Cambridge, so I'm going down with them and we're going to make a day of it and explore Cambridge a bit, which should be nice. I'll take you with me. So I'm just trying to do an intro to this vlog, upload the videos, and also get to sleep at a decent time. And I'm unsure if I can do all of those things concurrently. Thought there was a spider on the carpet. It's just a ball of my hair. That's disgusting. I'm molting, apparently. So anyway, here's what the proposed schedule looks like for July, and I think I'll be splitting the vlog into just 2 parts and just cutting it in the middle, so books 1 to 3 and then books 4 to 6, and I'm going to take you along with me, see how these books hold up. It'll be very exciting, take you to Cambridge as well. I'm also probably seeing some booktube friends at some point this month, so this should be a fun vlog. And again, like I always say when I introduce my vlogs, hopefully the next clip is less stressful. Why is my channel so chaotic? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Good afternoon. It is 1:40 p.m. On Friday the 9th of July. So, where are we at? It's a good question. It's a very good question. I should have finished Vampire Academy and Frostbite by today, by the 9th of July. I have finished Vampire Academy. I finished it yesterday, but good news, I'm also halfway through Frostbite. I forgot how quickly these books read. I was supposed to have finished Vampire Academy on the 4th of July, which would have given me, 4 days to read Frostbite. I don't need 4 days to read Frostbite because I finished Vampire Academy last night. I started Frostbite this morning and I'm already halfway through and like on target to like finish it this evening. So I'm actually doing okay. I'm actually doing okay on a challenge I've set myself, and I don't want to jinx it, but like, that's not bad. It's not bad. So let's discuss a little bit of my thoughts so far, because it's been interesting to say the least. So, Vampire Academy. I knew this one was going to be a little bit less, not less interesting the second time around, just because the plot of this one was a lot fresher in my mind, because unfortunately for me, I rewatched the movie last year in like the middle of lockdown haziness, and I somehow thought that I should have done that to myself. The movie was unfortunately not as fun as I remembered it being. It was actually pretty fucking terrible, to the point where it made me second guess if these books were even good, and that low-key is part of the reason why I wanted to reread the series. Like, hang on. So yeah, the plot elements of this one were a lot more familiar because they do stick to it fairly closely in the movie. Don't get me wrong, like some cringe ways in which they go about the plot, but like the story beats are kind of the same, and the elements are sort of similar. This book, I think, does a better job of blending the sort of high school drama with the more supernatural elements. I think that's where the movie falters a little bit, because vampires in the Vampire Academy world aren't just normal vampires. There's like a hierarchy of vampires. There's different types. So the Moroi is like the main type of vampire, and they're, you know, beautiful, stunning, the kind of classical depiction that we were used to. But within Moroi, there are also royal Moroi vampires, and then there are Dompiers, which are like half human, half Moroi, that are meant to be their guardians and their protectors, and they're protecting them from the Strigoi, which are the immortal evil vampires that just are not fun. And because there are like royals within this high school, there are lots of sort of very like privileged popular assholes, and there's a lot about the sort of high school politics, and there's lots of different families. It is low-key a bit like Game of Thrones, but just in like a high school vampire setting. There's like lots of different houses of like elite vampires, and there's lots of sort of like alliances and like, you know, people trying to climb to the top of the ladder, all of this stuff. And that was really fun, because obviously teen films from the dawn of time have dealt with that idea of popularity and hierarchy, Mean Girls being the classic example. And the film of the Vampire Academy was actually directed by the guy that directed Mean Girls, so they definitely did sort of try and capitalize off of that element in the book, but I think they strayed too far and they made it too sort of like bubbly teen drama, whereas the book is actually a little bit darker. Like, I don't want to say darker, because it does have a sort of tongue-in-cheek tone. Like, our narrator Rose is very, very jokey. She's very sort of like quippy one-liners and very flirty and all of this. But there are some elements of the book that aren't handled that well in the film, I think. For example, the vampires also have elemental magic. That's another layer to this book. And Rose's best friend Lissa, who is also the last of her royal line, hasn't specialised in an element yet, and everyone thinks this is really weird. I'm going to put this down now, my hand hurts. And everybody thinks that's really weird, that she hasn't specialised, and then she finds out that she has this really rare thing called spirit, which basically means that she has special powers. She's different to everybody else. But these special powers take a really stressful toll on her, and she actually ends up self-harming and going through like bouts of depression because of this like burden of power on her, and she also lost all of her family in like a really horrible car accident. So like there's quite a lot of discussion of like self-harm, and I wouldn't say it's done like in the best way. I mean, obviously it's a supernatural setting, so they don't really focus on it so much as it being about depression and mental health. It's more about it being because of her supernatural ability. But that is one element that I think is dealt with a bit better than it was in the film, and there are moments of sort of darkness and higher stakes, whereas the film was just sort of like, look at these vampires in high school talking about boys, whereas the book is a little bit, like the tone of it is a little bit sort of more grounded. I don't know. Sorry that angle keeps changing. My hand keeps getting tired. But another thing that I find really interesting rereading it is that I remember the first time around I was not a big fan of the relationship blossoming between Rose and Dimitri. So Rose is a 17-year-old at the school. She's who we see the novels through. She's training to be a guardian so she can graduate and then guard her best friend Lissa, who is, as I said, the last of her line and has this special elemental magic, and they're just very close. And Rose is like her life's ambition to like protect Lissa with her life, you know? And so Rose is being trained by this very sexy Russian guy, Dmitri, but it's like a little bit taboo because one, he's her teacher, but also he's 24. And this is like stressed upon a lot in the novel. He's 24. And I remember the first time I read that being like, ew, he's so much older than her. He's 24, like, I'm not saying it's okay, but like, oh my god, it's so weird rereading this book as a 23-year-old who is turning 24 this year and then being like, oh, he's so old. Rose genuinely thinks he's quite old. Like, I know it's a big gap for that age, and he says it quite a lot, actually. I don't know, I'm still not comfortable with the age gap. Like I said, I'm turning 24, but I'm not about to turn around and date a 17-year-old. That's not cool. That would make me uncomfortable. So, like, as I expected, I'm not fond of the relationship between Rose and Dimitri. I much prefer Christian as like a romantic interest, which is annoying because Christian is listed as a romantic interest, and obviously the books are told from Rose's perspective, so you don't necessarily get a lot of Christian like romance content. The only times we do get it is when Rose can see into Lissa's head through their psychic bond. Another element of the book, because of the car crash and Lissa's crazy abilities, they have this psychic bond, and sometimes Rose can see into Lissa's head. So sometimes when Lissa is getting like down and dirty and flirty with Christian, like Rose is like watching it happen, and that's the only time we get that sort of content in the book, which is a bit weird. I don't know if I'd rather it was like a dual perspective, so I got more Christian moments without being like, oh, isn't it weird that Rose is seeing all this happen? But Rose acknowledges in her narration that it's very weird and uncomfortable, so like, it's fine, but oh, it's a lot. I forgot how much is like packed into these books. Like the first book, Vampire Academy, is only like 330 pages. A roller coaster, so much happens. And this morning I started Frostbite, and I'm halfway through it, and it's good. Like I said, I was really excited to sort of get past the first book because that was the one where the plot elements were really familiar to me because I'd seen the film recently, and I started this one, and literally like, it's like reading a whole new book. I have no idea what's happening next, and I love it. So we begin with a huge massacre, because if you somehow thought that the first one was too slow, we'll throw you right in the deep end with like a huge massacre, and then we go on a ski trip, iconic staple of the teen genre, the ski trip, or like an abroad trip. You know, romantic entanglements ensue, and oh, it's quite juicy. And we've just met, at the point that I've got to, which is about halfway, we've just met Adrian Voshkov, and I remember thinking, like, when Adrian came in, like, oh wow, but like, he's just the cringiest guy. Like, he's just standing on a balcony smoking a clove cigarette, which smelled disgusting, by the way, and like smelling of alcohol. So like, he smells really gross, and then he starts talking about sweat. Like, he's like to Rose, oh, you smell really good, which, by the way, how could he even smell her, like, with all the clove smoke anyway? Although I guess he's a vampire, so like superior sense. I don't know, I'm thinking about this too hard, like, let's not apply logic. But anyway, he says to her, oh, you smell good, and she's like, oh, probably not, I've been skiing all day, I probably smell of sweat. And he's like, well, sweat is amazing, like, some of the most interesting things we do, like, is while sweating. Something, he says something to try and be suave, and she sort of eats it up, and I'm like, this guy's just weird. Like, I know it's meant to be like a suave entrance, like, oh, who's this guy? Like, he's gonna, you know, compete for Rose's affection, and it's just like, he's just a weird sort of loner talking about sweat on a balcony to a teenager. Like, he's not cool. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes and how Adrian redeems himself, because, you know, I was excited for his entrance and I've been severely let down, so we'll see how it goes. And I need to stop rambling because I've just looked at the time again and I'm gonna be late, and that's bad because I'm meeting my booktube faves, Leanne, Rose and Karis. We're meeting in London, and then me and Karis are gonna go see Heathers. Very excited, cannot wait to be back in the theatre. Seeing Heather is one of my favourite shows, so obviously gonna take you with me, and hopefully later on I will finish Frostbite and then I can start the third book for this vlog, and maybe I will stay on track, who knows. Fingers crossed.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, it feels so nice. We time, you I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say let's convey. No need for no flowers, babe.
Hello, I feel like this vlog has come full circle, which is kind of nice because, I mean, it's currently 3 a.m. and I'm very stressed about having to get up early tomorrow to be at a station for a trip. Sounds very familiar. I'm in the exact same position. The reason I'm up at 3 a.m. despite having to wake up at like 8 is because I'm uploading a video last minute, and I'm also desperately trying to finish Shadow Kiss. I am so close to the end because when I go on my trip tomorrow to Dorset, me, my mum and Kirian are going on a little walking tour of Dorset. It's gonna be lovely, but obviously I'm not gonna carry this book around with me. I want to finish this and then I want to take the next book with me so I can carry on this wonderful read along and have lots of aesthetic shots of that book in Dorset. So that's the plan. But obviously I have to film a little wrappy uppy bit for the first vlog and then edit it together so this goes up when I'm away. Oh my god, why do I leave everything to the last minute? This sucks. So anyway, let's stop rambling, let's just get on with it. This is a lot. So the first two books, Vampire Academy, Frostbite, I had a lot of fun. Both are about 320 pages, so like short and quick. This one is where they start getting chunkier. There's about 100 more pages in this book, and you can tell it really packs a lot in there. So we start off with like a trial. We go to trial. They put the villain from the first book on trial, and that all happens. Adrian is a new character and who has interesting powers, and Adrian and Lissa are like exploring their powers together, and that's setting off a lot of jealousy vibes. Things are happening between Rose and Dimitri. They sort of seal their relationship. You know what that means, right? You know, they bonk. There's like a secret society being set up at the school which is doing weird trials. There's ghosts. Yeah, that's another thing. There was a huge, well, not huge, but there was a character death. Sorry to that character. I did not mean to belittle you, but it wasn't a huge character death. But there was like a significant character death at the end of Frostbite. And then they start showing up in Shadow Kiss as a ghost, but only Rose can see the ghost. So that's like, is she going crazy? Is it stress? What does this mean? And obviously the book is called Shadow Kiss, so then basically you find out that Rose is shadow kissed, as they've sort of, I'm going to put that down now, as they've sort of guessed, because, oh god, there's so much stuff. There's this old legend of Saint Vladimir and his shadow kissed lover, Anna. It's me. And they also had a bond the way that Rose and Lissa do, and basically Rose being shadow kissed means that she like protects Lissa from like the negative effects of her element, which is spirit. There's so much that happens in these books, like there's so much going on. And then if that wasn't enough, there's a big attack at the end where Strigoi, the evil vampires, find their way past the wards onto the school, and I'm not at the end yet, but I think I do remember the like cliffhanger ending of this one because it's a pretty big one involving Dimitri. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I remember that, so I feel like I'm in a pretty comfortable position to like wrap up the book. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time. I'm speeding through these books. Like I always call myself a slow reader because I'm not one of the ones on BookTube that's out here reading 20 books a month, but like I started this 440 page book this morning and I'm here. So like I'm a fast reader when I'm like really enjoying it, and I also think the fact that these are rereads is helping, but like I'm speeding through this series having the best time. It's so silly and so tropey, and like really just fun. It's really taken me back to those like nostalgic days where I inhaled this series and it was just everything I wanted and more. Still uncomfortable about the Rose Dimitri sitch. I don't think that's going to go away, but I'm just trying to ignore it and read the rest, and I think that's going to get progressively harder, obviously, as the books go on and their relationship sort of develops more. I was uncomfortable a little bit in this one because they do, you know, and that's not right. But yeah, like I said, I'm in a rush and I'm stressed, so I'm sorry. We had like a stressful opening, a relaxing maybe, I don't know, I've not edited yet, maybe it's not a relaxing middle, but we had stressful opening, a dip in the middle, and now a stressful end. But if we look back at our schedule, I'm like on schedule, which is crazy. I'm still on schedule, so I'm obviously going to finish this like in the next 10-20 minutes, which means that I will have finished it because it's past midnight. So I will have finished it on July 14th, which is when I was supposed to have finished it. So perfect, we're like right on schedule. And then tomorrow on my train into Weymouth, I can start, what's it called? Blood Promise, which is book 4 in the series. And I'm like low-key impressed with myself, but I've also not read anything else this month, so my wrap-up's going to be really boring, because if I only end up reading this 6-book series in this month and I'm vlogging it, there'll be nothing for my wrap-up, so I have to read another book. Anyway, let's not think about that now. Let's just focus on, what am I focusing on? Yeah, finishing the book, uploading this video, which only has a little bit left to go, editing this, and then trying to get some sleep. Wish me luck, because I don't make it easy for myself, do I? Anyway, if you have enjoyed this vlog, please do let me know. I've had a lot of fun reading these books, if you couldn't already tell, and I'm looking forward to reading the next half of the series. And if you've been reading them along with us, please do let me know what your thoughts are. Is the series different to how you remember? If you're reading it for the first time, what are your first impressions? Does it seem outdated? Does it seem stupid? Tell me all your thoughts. I would love to hear them down below in the comments, and I will see you soon with another video soon.